Okay, we're rolling.
Hey, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. It's Dave with you. I hope you're doing well. When it comes to podcasting, we create content, we build things, and sometimes we spend a lot of money in the process doing it. And sometimes we forget how much money we're actually spending until you get the credit cards and until you look at your bank account and there's not a lot of money left. And you're like, what did I just spend money on? I forget. Now, one of the people who have been on the show in the past is Ralph Estep Jr. He came on to talk about the money side of podcasting. And I heard him on another podcast. And he really broke down for us kind of some good money principles specific for podcasters. So what I did is I'm going to bring that episode in here. I'm going to cut it up into pieces and add my 2 cents. Oh, there's a money term. That's pretty funny. I'm going to add my 2 cents to what Ralph is sharing here in this episode on another show and help us to understand the power of money and the fact that you can really get into trouble financially as a podcaster if you don't know how you're spending your money on what are you paying for? What have you forgotten about? What have you paid for that you're not using? And it's funny, everything is just one more monthly payment on top of the other ones. And eventually there's more money going out than there is days in the month. And that's not a good feeling, especially when you start getting behind and then credit cards and all kinds of stuff is happening. And Ralph really breaks this down for us as podcasters and really helping us to understand from a financial perspective, kind of how to self-audit ourselves as podcasters and take control. We're like halfway through the year, roughly just past halfway point in the year. It's a great time to kind of make some decisions about what should I be keeping? What can I get rid of? And where's my money going around podcasting? So whether you do this as a business or you do this as a hobby, the money side of podcasting is super important. And I love that Ralph does this. You can go to askralph.com and find all things about Ralph. And if you're looking for an accountant, I highly recommend Ralph. He's based in the US, but he can work with anybody anywhere. And he has the option to meet with him for free for a quick chat to see if maybe the two of you should work together. So reach out to Ralph at askralph.com. He's known as the content creator's accountant, and he's here to help you as a creative person. So he's got many podcasts that he does. He is a part of many shows, and you'll find him everywhere. AskRalph.com. So here's Ralph talking on this podcast around the money side of podcasting. And like I said, I'll jump in here and there, and just kind of add my thoughts. But here's Ralph as he kind of introduces the topic for the day. Let's go to Ralph. Ralph, take it away.
Today, we're going to talk about the hidden profit leak that a lot of podcasters and creators probably don't think about enough. And that's your software stack. Now, let me be clear right from the start. I am not anti-software. I use software every day. I'm using software right now. I recommend software. The right tools can save you time. They can improve your production quality. They can make your workflow easier. They can help you serve your audience. And they can help you grow your business. But software becomes a problem when it turns into clutter, and clutter becomes cost. And I'm all about cost. Think about it for a minute. You sign up for a recording tool and then an editing tool. Then you add a transcription tool. Then we add AI tools. I got about a dozen of those. And then another AI tool because this one does more stuff. Then you add a scheduling tool. Then you got to have social media tools. Then, of course, you need an analytics dashboard. You got to have an email platform. Hey, you got to have a community platform. And then a course platform. Yeah, it's getting old, isn't it? And before long, you got a software stack that's huge. You might even have what I call a software junk drawer. And that junk drawer could be draining your profit every single month. So today I want to walk us through the problem. I'm going to share with you a couple of real-world examples, and we're going to talk about how to clean this up without making it complicated. So here's what I want to start off with, everybody. How many software subscriptions do you think you're currently paying for?
Okay, so there's our first question. So for me, if I can kind of think out loud, software only. So Canva, Calendly. What else? Audacity is free for me, for a software platform. Those are my first two that come to mind. What about for you? What are the things that you're paying for? And you're like, maybe you have more than two. Maybe you've got a lot more than two. What are those? Start listing them out. Maybe go to your bank statements, your credit card statements, and start looking back over the last 6 months, year, and start highlighting all of the things that are software platforms you're paying for. It might be a good exercise. So that's the starting point. We're going to build on here, but do that first and be brutal with yourself. Make sure you try to keep track of everything. What am I using day to day through my process? What am I touching? What's uniquely for my podcast that maybe is not used anywhere else? And let's make that list. That's the first step. Ralph continues.
Yeah, and let's start with the big issue. Because most creators don't get into financial trouble because of one giant software expense. It usually happens one small subscription at a time. It's that $19 tool that doesn't feel dangerous when you subscribe to it. It's that $29 tool, or even that $49 tool that doesn't even get your attention. But when you stack them together, they can easily become hundreds of dollars a month. And here's the big problem. Those charges grew automatically because they become invisible. And that's where creators get into trouble. You're focused on creating the episode, booking the guest, editing the show, posting the clips, writing the email, finding the sponsors, but the tools just keep billing. So let me throw this into the room. What is the software category where podcasters and creators are most likely to overspend? Is it AI tools? Is it editing tools? Social media, analytics? You tell me, what is the number one thing where most of you feel like you're overspending?
Now, for me, the answer to that question would be, I don't really feel like I'm overspending on one specific area. For all my AI, I only use the free versions of everything. So Perplexity, ChatGPT. I don't do a bunch of stuff that people do with ChatGPT, like creating all these fancy things to do things for you, creating artwork and videos and all that stuff. I don't use any of that stuff. So if I add even more things to the pot, though, I am using a voice tool that creates the voices for my podcast. I have used Suno, but it's the free version of Suno. I have been using, I have Podmatch for my podcast, which is like $6 a month. So as I'm thinking about this, more things are coming into my brain that are kind of outside of the scope of what I would do day to day. And it's more month to month or every 2 months or every 6 months. So it's growing in my mind. But the reason why I don't have as many of these paid platforms is I'm a big believer in podcasting for free. Hence the jingle. Here we go. I really do believe in free tools. I do believe that as podcasters, free is not a terrible option. You're going to hear gurus who totally disagree with me, and they'll tell you that a free service is a waste of your time. But when it comes down to it, especially if you're a hobby podcaster, and this isn't your full-time gig, and you're not monetized, and you're not making money with your show, it comes out of your pocket. It comes out of your family's pocket. It's grocery money, gas money for your car, it's mortgage, rent money. It's coming from somewhere. So that's why I like my podcastforfree.com. Those are free tools. They don't cost anything. And they help you to do this thing called podcasting. So for me personally, a lot of my tools are free. And that allows me to do more with less. So back to Ralph's question, what part of what you're spending for your podcast, where do you feel like you're overspending? Like, where are you overdoing it? You might have to ask your partner for this. Ask your husband, ask your wife. They might be able to tell you quicker than you can. But where are you overspending? Like, it's going a little bit too far. It's a good question from Ralph. Do the introspective look into your finances at this point, and where are you overspending for your podcast? Ralph continues.
Well, let's make this real. So have you ever found a subscription you forgot you were paying for? Maybe it was a free trial that turned into a paid plan. Maybe it was a tool that you used one time and you never touched again. Maybe it's something tied to an old email address. Maybe it was a platform you thought you'd cancel, but somehow it kept billing. I think almost every creator's had this happen at some point. And I want to tell you why this matters. Think about this for a second. If you've got one forgotten subscription, it's $29 a month. That doesn't sound like a big deal. But $29 a month is $348 a year. 3 of those is $1,000 a year. That is before we even talk about bigger tools that cost $79, $99, $149 a month every month. So let me ask this question. What's the most common forgotten subscription trap for creators? What is that everybody says, hey, these are the ones I forget to do? For me, it's those ones that renew once a year, that I tried something out and then I just totally forget about it. And next thing you know, bang, here it is again. But I'd love to hear from the rest of us and talk about what are those forgotten ones, because there's thousands of dollars in there.
No, that's interesting. The subscriptions tied to an old email account that you don't use quite often, that you never go and check. That's one for sure. And then the ones that bill yearly or twice a year, that's another one, because they just kind of come out of nowhere and you totally forget about them. Be careful of those. Again, you want to look back through your credit card statements, your bank statements, and do a year worth of looking back. So we're doing this in the middle of July. So you'd want to go back to July 2025 to July 2026 and do the whole year, do the whole calendar, because you're going to miss something if you don't go back far enough. And the other thing too is maybe keep a spreadsheet of all of your subscriptions. For me, it would be a Google Drive thing. It'd be a Google Sheet, because then I could see it on my phone, on my computer. It goes with me everywhere I go. And every subscription goes in there. I would want to put the amount. I'd want to put the recurring date. And then I'd also want to put in my calendar a date earlier than that recurring date to give me the option as a reminder to go, wait, do I really want this? Because it's coming up next Tuesday. I'm going to set a reminder earlier before that date so that I'm reminded of the upcoming billing charge. And it gives me an opportunity to respond and cancel if I'm not using it. So it might be a good idea to set up those dates ahead of time. That's what I'm doing for myself, just to remind myself, because in the moment, I'll remember it now, but I won't remember it tomorrow. So do that. Maybe to set that up as a reminder to yourself and give yourself the opportunity to go, wait, have I used this thing? And then go through and mark down everything into that spreadsheet. It might be a really good starting point for you as a podcaster.
I think as content creators, we need to know how much our monthly software spend is. Because let me ask the room, if I asked each one of you, would you know right now what your monthly software spend is? Because I would be willing to bet most people don't know. I don't. This is what I do for a living, and I guarantee I don't know it. So what does everybody think? Do you know your total software spend every month?
Can you answer that question? Like, do you know right now it's $50, $100, $200, $500? Do you have any idea? Like the real number, the total number, right now, off the top of your head. Probably don't, do you? I don't know. And there lies the problem, because if we don't track it, we lose track of it. And that's when you start spending money on stuff you don't need. So just think of all the AI tools that are out there. The editing tools, the software tools, the email tools, the websites. Oh, there's another one. Websites. I have websites. I have multiple websites for each of my shows. All of those have the domain fee for the year. And then if I'm using the tool to build the website, it's a monthly fee to have the website building tools. That's one I didn't even think about until now. So there's the website side of all this as well. It just keeps growing and growing and growing. If you're not tracking it, you're going to lose track of it. Interesting. So what's your monthly number? Do you know? If you don't know, you got some homework to do. So do I.
It's one thing to know how much revenue dollars are coming in the door, right? We know what we're getting as sponsors and affiliates. But if we don't know what money is going out, that means profit is hard to find. So I want to give you an example. I was working with a creator who was bringing in about $12,000 a month in actual revenue dollars to her show. Now, on the surface, that sounded great. It's a strong revenue number. But she still felt like the business wasn't producing the profit that it should. And with her, we started looking under the hood. And she had editing software she was using, but she had old editing software she had forgotten about. She had more than one analytics tool. She had an email platform she didn't use, a bunch of stuff. Anyway, turns out, listen to this one. Her total software spend a month came to $499 a month. Well, that's $6,000 a year. And that didn't include payment processor fees, contractors, hosting, equipment. You get the idea. Now, the issue wasn't that every tool was bad. Some of the tools were necessary. The issue is that nobody had stopped to ask, what are you still using? Was it duplicated? And was it not serving your business? Why? This is why I want to get into how to make this go away. So how do you fix this?
So a big thing in here, like Ralph was talking about, and I love these questions by Ralph. Like really, you can tell this guy knows what he's talking about. Is again, let's go back to the thing that if you don't track it, you lose track of it. And I just think that as creatives, we love doing podcasts. We love buying these things. We love doing the thing. And the behind the scenes stuff seems arduous and time consuming and not as sexy as it is to create the content. But we are our podcast, whether it's a business or a hobby, it is a small business you're running here, especially when you start spending money. And if you're spending more money and more time on a hobby than you have time and money to do, you're going to run into problems. You're going to run into things when you're going to have to make a choice. You're either going to have to increase your income or reduce your expenses. That's it. Or you're going to get into trouble. And as podcasters, we really need to be aware of what's going on. So these are really good questions from Ralph. And this might be an episode you need to listen to twice, 3 times, and put up a plan for yourself on how you're going to maneuver through all of the things you do behind the scenes. And if you're not a disciplined person, then either hire Ralph to help you at askralph.com or figure it out for yourself and create your own templates and make this a priority. Put it in your calendar. You're going to have an office day where you're going to have to push papers around your desk, highlight stuff, make your payments, check your credit cards, statements. You're going to have to do this, or you're going to have to hire somebody. Your choice. You're either going to pay for this in your own time, or you're going to pay for this with your own money, hiring somebody like Ralph. That's how it's going to work. And if you don't take care of this, you're going to run into problems. If you don't track it, you're going to lose track of it. So Ralph continues. This is really good, by the way. I really like this. So Ralph is going to move from asking us questions, making us feel really uncomfortable, to, and he's doing that on purpose, to giving us some answers. Like, okay, now what? Now that you've done the hard work and self-examination, now what do you do? Here comes Ralph with some solutions, which I really like. Here's Ralph.
So here's how you fix it. Step number 1, you've got to centralize your money. If you're running a podcast or any kind of creator business, you need a dedicated checking account. All your income and expenses need to go there. That includes stuff like PayPal, Stripe, Venmo, anything, because then you can start to measure what's there.
So a separate account from your regular account. Keep it separate from personal. This is not where you get money to go to Wendy's or go grab ice cream at Dairy Queen. No. This is money set aside specific for your podcast. Again, even if you're a hobby podcaster, consider this. But definitely if you're a business and you have a business around your podcast, in the U.S., their tax laws are different than Canada. So wherever you live, you have your own tax laws. Go see a professional. Go talk to Ralph. Wherever you live, Ralph can help you with this. But you need to understand how important it is to have a separate stream of what's personal and what's business. Because when you mix the two, that's when you get in trouble. So please listen to Ralph. He knows what he's talking about. Track the money coming in. That's step number 1.
So once you do that, the second thing you've got to do is you've got to audit every single subscription. Here's what I recommend you do. Pull 90 days of your bank statements and credit card statements. Don't just look at 1 month, because sometimes things renew every quarter. Sometimes they actually renew once a year. But look at what's being billed. And then look at those annual renewals as well. But when you do that, ask, what is this? What is this for? What's funny about this is a lot of times you won't even recognize the name because the software company be something different than the tool you're using. Ask yourself how much it is. When did I use it last? Here's a big one. Does it make me money? Does it help me deliver my work? Does it help me manage the business? Does it protect the business? If the answer is no on any of those things and you can't remember the last time you used it, that tool needs to be questioned.
So you're saying, Dave, this sounds like work. Yeah. Rough's not fooling around here. This is about money. This is real things. This is where stress starts. When you can't pay your rent because of the money you're spending on your podcast, and you have no idea what's going on, and you're not a disciplined person, you need financial help. You need somebody like Ralph in your corner to give you a hand, and he's giving us so much wisdom here that if you're like, I can't do this on my own, I'm not good with numbers, then you're either going to spend a lot of time figuring it out or you're going to hire somebody like Ralph. Let's go to his third point.
The next thing you've got to do is you've got to categorize the tools. And this is really the thing that I think will really help the creators who are tuning in today. Once you've got that list, put every tool into one of three categories: essential, nice to have, or never used. Those are the three categories. Essential tools, they're going to be the ones that help you produce something, they help you sell something, they help you deliver, manage, or protect the business. The nice to have tools, they may be useful, but they're not critical. And of course, the never use tools are the easy ones. Cancel those right away. Because I want to say this clearly. The goal is not to be cheap. The goal is to be intentional. If you can find a tool that saves you money, keep it. But every tool needs a job. And if it doesn't have a job, it's just a recurring expense that doesn't help you. So here's a question for the room. What is harder to cancel? A tool you never use or a tool you barely use but still feel attached to? Because I know some of us have these tools that we're attached to. I'll give you mine, for example. I have a tool, Alphonic. I never use it. I never use it because my team uses this script and I just don't have a place for it. But I noticed the other day, I'm still paying like $11 a month. So let me throw that. What are the tools that and then I got a couple more steps, but what are the tools that everybody wants to keep even though they're not using them anymore?
So what is it for you? What tool are you in love with? What tool are you it's like a little pet project. It's a little hobby thing that you love. You pay for it. I might get around to it one day, but it's been many, many days and you're still not getting around to it. What is it? Can you part ways with it? Is it time for a breakup with that tool that you promised yourself you would use, but you haven't? It's a good question. Think about it. Think hard and long and hard, hard and long, either one, about this tool and think about, is it time? Is it just time? Dave, tell me it's time. It's time. Okay, Dave, it's time.
Next thing you want to do is you want to look for duplication, because this is huge for podcasters. We have a podcast platform that already gives us analytics, but then we're paying for something else. We might have an editing platform that includes transcriptions, but then we're paying separately for transcriptions. You might have an email platform that has automation, but then you buy Zapier or something like that. This is the big deal with these things. You got to take a look and say, am I paying for the same thing twice?
So there you go. Are you paying for the same tool in multiple formats in different ways? You have a SEO tool for your podcast to see how you're doing and how you're ranking. How many of them do you have? If you have the same tool that does different things, like I'm using Adobe, there's another one, Adobe Podcasts. See, it's just ongoing. Adobe Podcasts. I use it for audio cleanup for guests with like really crappy laptop microphone audio, but it gives me transcriptions as well. Awesome. So there's a 2-in-1. So if I had a different transcription service, I don't need two transcription services. I could just use the one in Adobe because I'm already paying for Adobe and it's part of the platform on Adobe Podcasts. So there you go. So how many transcription services do you have? How many do you have a Substack? And then on Substack, you then have a newsletter as well on a different platform. They have 2 newsletter platforms, one paid for, one free. Like what are you doing? What are you doing? This is why this is so important. I'm unpacking in real time all of the different things that I'm paying for. And there's some changes coming. Yeah.
The next thing I'm going to encourage you to do, and this is the question I kind of started the discussion with today, is actually to create a software budget. I know a lot of people don't like the word budget. They hear restriction. But I think that you need to do that. And I'm not saying there's one magic number that applies to everybody, because it really depends. But for creators, it might be anywhere from $100 to $400. You could have small creators paying less. I just think you really need to have a budget for that. So let me ask the room this question. What do you think is a reasonable monthly software budget for your podcast or your creator business?
Okay, so what's your number? Monthly, what's your budget? I'm willing to spend this much money per month. Now, add in, if you don't edit your own show and you hire an editor, right? There you go. If you have a community group, I have meetup.com. It's $50 some a month for this meetup group. That's a lot of money over a whole year. And it's free for my people that participate, but I'm paying outright for this every month. That's a big hit every month. That's a lot. It's a lot. And I don't get a lot of financial support from the people who attend the meetups. So I'm on the hook for that. And if I stop paying, the meetup group stops. So think about it. There's a lot going on here, right? What's your budget? What's your maximum that you can spend every month? If you don't have a budget, then it's a free-for-all. And everything goes because you have, again, you're not tracking it. You're going to lose track of it.
Which leads me to the final step. I think you need to build in a monthly review of these things. This is a habit that keeps so you don't have this mess all the time. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You can just put on your calendar 15 minutes a month and just look at what came in, what went out, and what's left. And as you're doing that, look at those subscriptions. You get those renewal. If you create that spreadsheet we talked about, you'll see those renewals. You can talk about what are the duplicate things you're doing, and it helps you make better decisions. But a lot of people don't think about that. Put that monthly money review. Hey, sometimes it may even make sense to do it weekly. But I think when you do all of those things together, that is what gets you to the point of not letting these things eat you up. Because like I said, I've had creators who have spent thousands of dollars and not even realize what they spent it for. And the best part of these things, most of these things are just, you turn it on, it just keeps going in forever. And the software companies love it because you're not going to be bothered with them. And the other side of this, and we haven't talked a lot about this, is when you go to cancel one of these, sometimes you got to go through 10 layers of cancellation. They don't make it easy. They make it really simple to go sign up for their app and here's your 30-day free trial. But man, when you go to try to get rid of them, you got to talk to this person, email this person, stand on one foot. And then finally, you might get somebody on the phone. They say, then they're going to try to sell you on, hey, would you take it for half price? I know I do that with my Sirius XM radio every year. It's a hassle, but it's kind of a fun thing. But that's the other part of it. So what does everybody think? What is the biggest struggle in this for everybody right now?
I think for me personally would be just the fact of doing it, like making it a priority, like actually doing this. Like it's one thing to listen to a podcast. It's another thing to actually act on it. It's another thing to put it into practice. And again, if you're not good at this and you need help, then you need to reach out to Ralph at askralph.com, link in the show notes, and let him know and get a one-on-one with him and just talk through that. You've heard all this, you've kind of made a plan, you kind of got some ideas, and this would be your starting point. You're not starting from zero with Ralph. You've already heard his voice, you've already heard his tips, you know that he knows what he's talking about. So you already kind of crossed all the bridges with him. And then you sit down with him and you start talking from that spot and build from there. He's a great guy. He really will care about you. But yeah, so what is it for you? For me, it's just doing it. It's just doing it. That's it.
I honestly think, based on the comments in the room today, I think a lot of people just don't know what they're paying for. And you got to start with clarity. I talk about that in my accounting practice all the time. You got to know where your money's going. I think that's a big struggle. I think once you know where your money's going, then I think you have to have a difficult discussion with yourself. You talk to yourself, if you will, and decide what things are essential, what things are those nice to haves, and what are those things that need to go.
Ralph reminds us too that when you look at it from a month to month perspective, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but it's a death by a million cuts. When you start adding all these things together and you get a perspective of this, you're like, oh, wait a minute. And then look at it for the year. Take those $19.99 payments times 10 times 12, and that's the real number. Annualizing your monthly fees combined, and then you get a real sense of what you're actually spending over the year. And if you're not making a ton of money with your podcast, like most of us, that's coming straight out of your bank account and coming straight out of your family's money for every month, every year. And are you willing to have that conversation with your partner, with your husband, with your wife, with your kids? We can't do the thing. We can't do the holidays this year because mommy or daddy has been spending money on their podcast. That's going to be an interesting conversation for your family and with your partner. Just keep that in mind.
And that's why I say to always annualize the cost of these. Because when you look at something that's $29 a month, you go, oh, that's not a big deal. But then you ask yourself, am I willing to pay $350 a year for this? I think that's one of the key things, Mark, is because if it seems so small, but stack 10 of those on each other, then you got $300. I think one of the things that I've learned, and I actually wrote a blog post about this, we'll put it in the show notes for today's show, but is think about annualizing the cost. Because I think if any of us said, hey, this is costing me $1,000 a year, that somehow rings a little bit stronger than $99 a month. At least it does for me.
So lots of stuff today, right? A lot of great tips from Ralph. Again, a great conversation, great questions for you to ponder as a podcaster. Ralph wraps up the conversation here at the end. And again, if you're listening to this going, oh my gosh, I need to talk to this guy, askralph.com. He knows what he's talking about. He's helped a lot of people in the creative space. If you're looking for somebody who's a trusted voice, who really cares about the people that he works with, askralph.com. It feels like a big commercial for Ralph, but when you have tips like this and advice like this from somebody who knows what it is to be a podcaster, to be a creative person, and treat your podcast like a business, whether it is a business or a hobby, Ralph is your guy to go to and go talk to. Go talk to him, askralph.com. Here's Ralph wrapping up.
So here's what I want every podcaster and creator to remember. Revenue is not the same thing as profit. You can have downloads, you can have subscribers, you can have sponsorships, you can have courses, clients, and even sales, and still not have a healthy business if you're not watching what it costs to operate. Your software stack should support your business. It shouldn't silently drain it. The goal here isn't to be cheap. The goal is to be intentional. So I'm going to give everybody some homework this morning. I want you to go pull your 90 days of statements and list every recurring software charge and put each one into the categories I talked about. Essential, nice to have, and never use. And do me a favor, do yourself a favor. Cancel what you're not using, review what's being duplicated, and put that monthly reminder review on your calendar. Your tools should have a purpose. Your money should have a plan, and your profit should not be disappearing one subscription at a time. So that's my big takeaway for today. I think this is a vital place for all of us to really tighten our belts. We're in a tough economy right now. This is an easy place to find some of that, what they say, low-hanging fruit.
So there you go. Ralph's got some homework for you. Please, if this episode flew by and you're like, wait, there's so much in here. Yeah, that's true. You definitely have to go back. This is one of those money episodes that I think a lot of podcasters and creative people need to hear. And not only hear, but action. Like, do something with this, people. Come on. If it's one thing to listen, it's another thing to do. So please put this in practice for yourself so that you don't find yourself in a financial hole because of a podcast. And again, remember, if you're looking at all these tools going, I need an alternative to all these paid things that I'm using, podcastforfree.com, it's right there for you. And on podcastforfree.com, you're going to see tools that I'm using right now that are completely free, not like a little bait and switch thing where it's free for 2 days and then it's paid forever. No, free tools for you to use right now for your podcast and maybe get rid of some of those subscriptions. So go to podcastforfree.com. Also, askralph.com and reach out to Ralph. Let him know you heard about him here again on the How to Podcast series. I'll have him back in the future. He's such a great guy. And we'll continue the conversation. But go do the numbers. Run the numbers. Make sure you're doing what's right for your podcast. If you don't track it, you'll lose track of it. It's the How to Podcast series. Thanks for being here. And Ralph, thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today on the show. Thanks, everybody. Hey, if you found value in the show, I'd really appreciate you going over to our Buy Me a Coffee. Check it out. People have been wonderfully kind and helping support the show by purchasing Dave a coffee. And, my coffee is generally always like, I got a quarter of a cup and I'm like, I should have drank all that. I need to refill. So if you can help the show, awesome. For you that have a Buy Me a Coffee or considering it, keep in mind too that you can set up like a Patreon style of monthly support for your show through Buy Me a Coffee, where you can set up levels and people can pay at different levels for different amounts. And it's a monthly ongoing payment, not just a single coffee purchase. So I love that for us as podcasters, that we can start building into our community and give them extra value You can set the tiers, you can set the bonuses and what's available at each tier. I wouldn't go too high, but I wouldn't go too low as well. And set up different tiers and let your audience do that. I've actually set it up and I've already had my first membership, which is outstanding. Ralph, thank you. It's great to have people in our world that support us as podcasters, and Buy Me a Coffee allows you to do that Patreon style without being on Patreon. So if you want to, and you already have Buy Me a Coffee, you're considering between the two, try that, because again, Buy Me a Coffee allows you to have the benefit of one-time coffee purchases or monthly, like a Patreon. They also have a storefront, and you can create, like if you're an author, you could have a bonus chapter that didn't make it in your book. People can buy that. You could have a private podcast that's only available through paid access to that private, non-public facing podcast. So you can have something very special, very unique, and use your storefront on Buy Me a Coffee to be the way to handle all the transaction fees and the credit cards and all that. There's a setting also in Buy Me a Coffee I'd encourage you to turn on where you will cover any kind of credit card fees for anybody that gives to your show through Buy Me a Coffee. I turn that on. I don't want you to have to pay a credit card fee to support my show, so I'll eat that cost. So think about that. Buy Me a Coffee. It's there on the howtopodcast.ca website in the show notes. Thanks for your support. I'll talk to you soon. You're still here? Great. This is awesome. Well, thank you for sticking around. That was a really good episode with Ralph. Now, as another cost that I'm thinking about is my hosting site. Another one, right? I'm like, oh yeah, there's one more. So I use, someone was asking me, Dave, what hosting sites do you use across your 9 different podcasts? Now, having 9 podcasts is part of my problem, but I use Captivate.fm, I use Buzzsprout, and I use Spotify for Creators. 3 different platforms. I like to put my fingers and toes into each of these different ones so I understand how the platforms work, so I can guide people to things that I trust, that I use. And those are my 3 starting points for anybody starting a podcast. 2 are paid. Captivate and Buzzsprout are paid, and Spotify for Creators is totally free. So again, podcastforfree.com. So for the 2 paid ones, those are really good. Captivate allows you to have multiple different podcasts on their own separate podcast feeds, so they don't all blend together. So you can keep them separate, which is kind of cool. All under one plan, which is nice. And then Buzzsprout allows for multiples as well. That's new. And Buzzsprout has some great tools as well. So there's multiple ones you can pick from. There's a whole bunch of other ones as well. Almost everybody's got adding on podcast hosting. And some will do video, some will do audio, some will do both. So depending on what you want, what you need, then reach out to me. We can talk through it, and I can give you my opinions and my real life examples. And I can show you the back end of Spotify, of Captivate, and of Buzzsprout, because those are the 3 that I'm hosting with. Happy to show you everything and walk you through it and help you get set up. It's not as difficult as it seems. And once you get it set up, it's pretty well runs on its own. So each of these 3 hosting sites will give you a free website for your podcast that comes with the plan. It's not the best website ever, but it's there. It's free and it comes with it. So you might as well use it if you want a website for your podcast. You don't have to pay additionally on top of it. And if Spotify, you don't have to pay at all. So there you go. Some options for you. Happy to help. Howtopodcast.ca. Go pick your hosting site. Let's get going. We got to get this podcast up and running. People need to hear from you. Thanks for listening.